Daf Yomi, continuing Daf Yomi, Tractate Menachot, page 37b, with the words Amar Mar Yadcha. Okay, the Gemara returns to its discussion of the Braita. Amar Mar Yadcha Zekaboyres, Minan Antisaman Yadcha Zekaboy Vishbiyad, Zugoy Vishbiyad. אתה אומר, זה גורש ביד, או אינו אלא על ידך ממש. אמרתו ירונך תפילין, ביד ביד תפילין שבראש, מה להלן בגוי בשבראש? אף כאן בגוי בשביד. The Gemara, okay, the master says on your arm, this is the bicep. The term yad can mean either hand or arm. Therefore, the Gemara asks, from where do we derive this? The sages taught, on your arm, yadcha, this is the upper part of the arm. Do you say that this is the upper part of the arm, or is it only literally your actual hand? On the palm of your hand, the Torah says, Don phylacteries on the yad, and Don phylacteries on the head. Just as there with regard to the head, it means the upper part of the head, as we'll explain. So to here, it means the upper part of the arm. Okay? Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Af Tzorich, Harei Omer, V'haya Lecha Le'ois, V'loi, Le'achechem Le'ois. Rabbi Yitzchak Omer, Eino Tzorich, Harei Omer, Usamtem, V'savoi, Eila Levavchem, Ukshartom, Shetei Simo Keneged Alev. Rabbi Eliezer says this proof is not necessary. As the verse states, it shall be for a sign for you upon your arm, Exodus 13:9, which teaches it shall be a sign for you, but not a sign for others, meaning one must don the phylacteries of the arm in a place where they are not seen by others. This is the arm, which is usually covered, whereas the hand is usually visible. Yitzchak says, this proof is not necessary. As the verse states, there you shall place these words in your heart and in your soul, and you shall bind them. Deuteronomy 11:18. This teaches that placing the words, meaning donning the phylacteries, shall be opposite the heart on the bicep. Rav Chiyo v'Rav Avyo v'Chavin v'Nach Leila Hadelibe. Rabashia v'Yosif coming down Meimar, having Tzirio b'yodo v'chom mitchazian tefillin, Amar le, lo yisor amar lecha leois, v'lo yilachem leois. Amar le, nimkoim lecho leois itmao. The Gemara relates Rav Chia and Rav Acha, son of Avia, would direct the placement of his phylacteries of the arm and don them opposite his heart. Ravashi was sitting before Meimar, and there was a cut in the sleeve covering Meimar's arm. As a result, his phylacteries were visible, as they were not covered by a garment. Ravashi said to Meimar, doesn't the master hold that the phylacteries shall be a sign for you, but not a sign for others? And Meimar said to him, this does not mean that phylacteries must be hidden. Rather, this was stated in order to teach that they must be done in a place that is a sign for you. Meaning, the bicep, which is generally not seen, but it does not matter if in practice the phylacteries are visible. Go, with regard to the statement of the Braita that the phylacteries of the head are donned on the upper part of the head, the Gemara asks, so where do we derive this? As the sages taught, between your eyes, Exodus 13:9. This is the upper part of the head. Do you say that this is the upper part of the head, or is it only literally between your eyes? It is stated here, between your eyes, and it is stated, there you shall not cut yourselves, nor make any baldness between your eyes for the dead. Deuteronomy 14:1. Just as there the phrase between your eyes, referring to a place on the upper part of the head, as that is the place where one can render himself bald by removing his hair. So too, the place where phylacteries are done is on the upper part of the head, a place where one can render himself bald. Rabbi Yehuda says this proof is not necessary, as the Torah says, don phylacteries on the arm and don phylacteries on the head, just as there with regard to the phylacteries on the arm is referring to a place which it is fit to become ritually impure with only one type of leprous mark, that is the skin. So too here, with regard to the phylacteries of the head, is referring to a place which is fit to become ritually impure with only one type of leprous mark, that of a place of hair. See Leviticus 13:29 through 37. Liapoke beinecho. Liapoke beinecho. Dikabasa viseo. Dikaseo lavon. Ikanami seo tahov. Rabbi Huda continues. This serves to exclude the area which is literally between your eyes, as there is flesh in the hair of the eyebrows present there, and therefore there is a possibility of leprosy through the growth of a white hair, which is impure according to the halachot of leprosy of the skin. See Leviticus 13:3. Okay. Leviticus 13:3, and there is also a possibility of leprosy through the growth of yellow hair, which is impure according to the halachot of leprosy of the head, or beard. See Leviticus 13:30. The Mishnah teaches with regard to the 4 ritual fringes on the garment, the absence of each prevents fulfillment of the mitzvah, with the others as the 4 of them constitute one mitzvah. Rabbi Shmuel says the 4 of them are 4 discrete mitzvot, and the absence of one does not prevent fulfillment of the rest. The Gemara asks, what is the difference between the opinions? The first Tana, Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Yosef said, the difference between their opinions is with regard to a linen sheet. With the woolen ritual fringes that has fewer than 4 ritual fringes, the first time maintains that since one is not performing a mitzvah, he may not wrap himself in the sheet due to the prohibition of diverse kinds, meaning the prohibition against wearing clothing made from a mixture of wool and linen threads. Conversely, Rabbi Shmuel permits one to wrap himself in it, as each ritual fringe is a separate mitzvah, and the mitzvah of ritual fringes overrides the prohibition against wearing diverse kinds. Okay? Brava bar Ahina Omar Talis Balas Chamesh Ikaminayu. Rava bar Ahina said the difference between their opinions is with regard to a cloak with 5 corners. It is derived that a cloak of this kind requires ritual fringes, see 43b, but it is unclear whether ritual fringes must be placed on each corner. If each fringe is a discrete mitzvah, then the obligation applies to its corner as well. But if it is one mitzvah that applies only to 4 of the corners of this garment, then it applies only to the 4 corners of this garment. Ravina Amar, Rav Huna, Ikabenayu, Damar Rav Huna, Hayotzi B'Tala She'ena Mitzuyetzis, B'Kehil Chasav Shabbos Chayav Chatos. Ravina said the difference between their opinions is with regard to the opinion of Rav Huna, as Rav Huna says, one who goes out unwittingly to the public domain on Shabbat with a 4-cornered cloak that does not have all the requisite ritual fringes attached to its corners is liable to bring us an offering, because the remaining fringes are not an integral part of the garment. Since they do not enable the wearer to fulfill the mitzvah, they are considered a burden, which may not be carried into the public domain on Shabbat. The first Tana agrees with this ruling, whereas Rabbi Shmuel maintains that since each corner with ritual fringes is the fulfillment of the mitzvah, one is not liable to bring us an offering due to the carrying on Shabbat for wearing it into the public domain. Amar Rav Shisha bered Rabbi Idi. Hai man divatzre legalime lo yav la klum. Shavye talis baras chomesh. Rav Shisha son of Edi said, one who cuts the corner of his garment has not done anything of consequence with regard to exempting the garment from the obligation of ritual fringes, as he has rendered it a cloak with 5 corners, to which the obligation of ritual fringes applies. I thought it was just a 4. What, 5? Maybe it's at least 4. And then 4 or more, maybe. Okay. Omar HaMishal Shia Haiman Disayre Leglime Lo Aver Leklumai Haima Kiman Dishari Adami Tanami Kol Chamasois Hatsurois Toirois Chutz Michel Arvim. But Misharsha similarly says, one who ties his garment has not done anything of consequence in regard to exempting the garment from the obligation of ritual fringes. What is the reason? It is considered as though the garment is untied, since the knot can be loosened at any time. And we learned likewise in a Mishnah in Kalim 26 verse 4, 26:4, all bound leather jugs, meaning those whose bottoms are not sewn but tied, are ritually pure, meaning they are not susceptible to ritual impurity. This is because they are not considered receptacles, as these knots will be untied except for leather jugs of Arabs, who would tie them with a permanent knot. Rav Dimi Darda similarly says, one who sews his garment, meaning he folds over a long garment and sews the edges together, has done nothing of consequence in regards to the obligation of ritual fringes, and he must place ritual fringes on the original corners. The reason is that if it is so that he does not need the folded part, which is why he is sewing it, let him cut it and throw it away. Rabbi Shmuel Omer, al ba'atan al ba mitzvois. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel, halacha k'Rabbi Shmuel, v'le'esir chasak avosei. The Mishnah teaches that Rabbi Shmuel says the 4 of them are 4 discrete mitzvot, and the absence of one does not prevent the fulfillment of the rest. Rabbi Yehuda says that Shmuel says the halacha is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Shmuel. The Gemara states, but the halacha is not in accordance with his opinion. What? The halacha is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Shmuel, but the halacha is not in accordance with his opinion. Oh. I guess it's a disagreement. Ravina Amal. Ravina Havikazu Basi Demar Ravashi. Demar Baravashi. Bishabta de Rigla. Ipsik. Karna de Chute. Velo Amarle Velomide. Kach Metale Bete Amarle. Behatan Ipsik Amarle. I amrit li mihatam shadete. The Gemara relates that Ravina was walking behind Mar Bar Rav Ashi on the Sabbath of the festival, when the corner of Mar Bar Rav Ashi's garment, on which his ritual fringes were hanging, tore, and yet Ravina did not say anything to him. When he arrived at Mar Bar Rav Ashi's house, Ravina said to him, back there, along the way, the corner tore. Mar Bar Rav Ashi said to him, if you would have told me then, I would have thrown off the garment there. As once the ritual fringes is torn, no mitzvah is performed with the rest, and it is prohibited to walk in the public domain on Shabbat wearing such a garment. This is in accordance with the opinion of the first Tana who disagrees with the ruling of Rabbi Yishmael. The Gemara raises a difficulty, but didn't the master say, great is human dignity, as it overrides the prohibition Torah? This includes the prohibition against carrying on Shabbat in the public domain. That being the case, why would he remove his garment in public? Targuma Rav Bar Shva Kamed Rav Kana. The Gemara answers, Rav Bar Shva interpreted that statement before Rav Kahana. And we'll stop here. That's 37b.